Welcome to the AusComX show. I'm here with Sheydin, tonight's host.
Hello.
And tonight we'll be talking to Jess Cate. Oh, you're freezing up a bit there. That's a bit of a shame. And her book, see if I can remember it, The Heart of Millyera. Was I close? Okay.
You're perfect.
Okay, awesome. So let's not muck around. Let's get straight on to talking to Jess.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the AusComX show. Tonight, we have got the wonderful Jess Cate joining us, the creator of Heart of Millyera. To start us off, Jess, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your creative writing journey, how long you've been writing for? Give us a little bit of the nitty-gritty stuff to start us off.
Okay, yep. Hi. So I've been writing and creating things, including comics, since I was a teenager. I found some of my old comics when I was 16 through to now. So it's been a long time of making these things. Creative writing since I was really little. So I always loved just storytelling and building little fantasy worlds and daydreaming. And I did literary studies and creative writing at university, and editing and publishing at postgrad. So I've basically been thinking about this stuff for a very long time.
Fantastic. It's always so nice to have someone from a little bit of a different background. Obviously, as a lot of our viewers know, we have quite a few artists on the show. So it's really, really nice to have someone with a different background of writing to get a little bit of a different perspective on some of the comics are made. Now, you're an Adelaide girl, just like myself. You also mentioned that you graduated from uni. Were you doing a writing related degree?
Yes, yeah. So back when I did such a long time ago, when I did my undergrad, it was creative writing was the main thing, and literary studies. There was lots of reading. And then I did just in 2019, then I did a graduate certificate of editing and publishing, so to get into editing with a view to working comics specifically rather than books, though I do like reading.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic. What uni was that with?
The editing course was with University of Southern Queensland. It's a really good you
up near Shane's neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Toowoomba.
Oh my God, amazing.
Oh, cool.
So
okay.
you specifically were kind of like sorting after doing comics. For the main purpose of you being on this show, can you give us a little bit of a taste of what the Heart of Millyera has to offer? A little synopsis, if you will.
Yeah, sure. So Heart of Millyera is a young adult steampunk adventure set in a Australia-esque setting rather than your typical steampunky London-esque setting. It's about that's just something different, we figured. It's about a group of science university students. So we've got a geologist, called Ida, and a inventor, I guess you'd say, an engineering major called Gil, and a young botanist called Celeste. And they're all friends, and they've been at uni together for a while. And they go on a field trip to dive into a flooded lake town. So a town that's been mysteriously flooded 100 years ago, and they want to go and see what they can find down there. So they test out a new invention, underwater contraption, and what they uncover is Ida finds a interesting fossil, and also encounters a ghost-like human kind of person, humanoid ghost-like thing. What they don't know is when they take the fossil back with them to the university to do some tests, that it has great immense power, as these things do that you find randomly at the bottom of the lake, and also is pretty much essential to the sea spirit, who follows them there to recover their heart, hence the name.
The Heart of Millyera. Fantastic. Actually, so when I was reading your prologue, both Adelaide girls, I was reminded of a flooded town here in SA, which is now a reservoir. Near the Chain of Ponds Road, if there's any viewers tonight from Adelaide, you probably know what I'm talking about, but it reminded me of this flooded town. And when it's really low, sometimes you can even see the steeple of the church. And it's just, I was reading it, I was just like, oh, this is so cool. This is exactly what I would have imagined if I was able to scuba dive in that reservoir. Which I think is really cool, and especially when you could see the steampunk kind of influence there. I thought that was such a cool style to it. I don't see too many comics with steampunk, so it's really, really cool to see. For those who don't know, I actually have met Jess before at Paper Cuts Festival back in 2019. She was a huge inspiration as well. So yeah, again, it's really amazing to have you on the show and be able to talk to you about this amazing comic. Thank you very much for giving us a little bit of a synopsis. I would really like to kind of delve in more to what are some of your future projects? Do you have anything in the pipeline at the moment? Obviously, you're still ongoing with Millyera, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Spot on. A+.
Are there any other projects you got on the sidelines, or is it just head down, bum up for this particular one?
In a way, but also no. I do have some other things going. So at the moment, I'm looking to. So we've published a fair chunk of Heart of Millyera. We are looking to hopefully release a volume 1, which will be 36 pages. So that's I'm planning that out at the moment to hopefully get that out soon. On the non-Millyera related, I've been working on a young adult science fiction concept, which is a teen, like a queer teen sort of non-romance friend romance with sort of a body snatchers, Stepford Wives sort of vibe. So that's my current thing I'm working on, and hopefully I'll get some pages. I'm not quite there yet to start getting art done, but that's what my current project is. And I've got another comic that I have sitting. It's just sitting there waiting to have something done to it. It's a X-Files inspired story. It's sort of autobiographical, but really tongue-in-cheek. That was drawn by one of my really good friends and the first person I ever did comics with when we were in high school together, Jonathan McBurney. So he did the art for it for me, and I kind of see it as being part of a bigger project. So that's why it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't landed on its own. It's a mini comic, but yeah.
Fantastic. How long have you been kind of having them in how long have you had them in the pipeline, so to speak?
Oh, the mini comic, about a year and a bit. Okay. So yeah, though time sort of, what is time? It's sort of meaningless now, isn't it? It could have been 3 years, it could have been 1 year, who knows? The Circles, which is my young adult story that I'm working on for a while. So I've been writing that alongside Heart of Millyera, but it's a little, it's a bit of a project.
Yeah, fair. To give a little bit of comparison, how long have you been working on Millyera for?
Oh, so we started in 2014. So that was when we started brainstorming and workshopping, me and Jana Hoffman, who's the co-creator and artist. So we came up with all our ideas and characters, and then slowly started publishing. So we publishing pretty consistently on and off for a fair few years. I think Camilla Duran, who is my current artist, she took over that posting in 2020. 2020.
Wow, what a year! A very big year for you. I can only imagine.
Yeah, no. So we've been working through getting her pages up slowly as well. So we're getting there. Yeah, we're almost up to halfway through volume 2. So if I get volume 1 up, I might follow that pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's wonderful. That's really cool to see that you're really busy, especially on the comic scene. I kind of want to rewind a little bit back. You did mention that you had been making comics since you were 16. Is that correct? Before?
Yeah.
I kind of want to know, what are some of your inspirations when you write?
So I quite like spooky science fiction, and my favorite things to read, I guess, are your sort of fun science fiction adventure. So I quite like a bit of a fanfic vibe. It's a sort of a take you out of the mundane, but is fun and easy to read and moves along at a good pace. So that's the sort of stuff that I like to write as well. So lots of fun dialogue and characters that interact well with each other, and
Definitely.
yeah.
Are there any
the
particular
young adult sort of just felt like a world that I wanted to live in. I think with steampunk as well. I don't think there is that much out there. I mean, there's a bit more now, but back when we started, there wasn't really that much.
Yeah, which is super cool to see becoming more popular nowadays. That's for sure. Are there any specific writers or comics that you really enjoyed when you were a kid or younger?
Oh yes, of course. I was a really big Sandman fan. So yeah, it was pretty much that was the be all and end all of everything for a moment. So I think that ilk. There was a time. I mean, I'm old, so a lot of the comics that were coming out in around the mid to late 90s, I think, were what got me into comics. Now, I guess I'm very diverse in what I would actually read.
Oh, really?
I don't really have anything that I would ever veto too much, as long as it's good. And I think as long as it moves along and has a good plot and is entertaining, and
that's really, really cool to hear. So what was it that really fascinated you about Sandman? What was so good about it to you?
I think it's because at the time I didn't know that comics could be so, I guess, different. Like it's just having read, I really liked Spider-Man, and I really, really liked X-Men when I was younger. So this was the first time I'd read something that was a bit more complex storytelling, and I was really interested in literature and things when I was that age. So I think I kind of liked the way that it worked in different stories, episodic, all tied together, built this bigger, greater world.
It's just
a different sort of universe from your.
Yeah, like having a totally new, like the own world that you can create, kind of thing. Yeah. I guess that kind of like leads into my next question is like, what made you want to create the Heart of Millyera?
I think I wanted to create something that I would want to read if I was the age that I'm aiming the comic at. So I think when I was a sort of a pre-teen to teens, I think I would have really enjoyed something that was a fun adventure, that did something a little bit different with bringing in the Australian landscapes. I know that doesn't sound like a big thing. I mean, when you get the steampunk that is just constantly metropolitan sort of London or New York sort of Jack the Ripper, I feel like there's so much you can do with that. It's so fun to mix in magic and science. Such a good cocktail. And so to then have it be in a more like a oldie worldy sort of outbacky sort of landscape is something that I can picture those sort of things. We didn't have that sort of vibe. I think it's a bit different.
Yes, definitely. And I think it's really good to like kind of put your own stamp on it and be like, this is an Australian comic. You can see that it's an Australian comic. And I think that's really, really cool. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good, I keep saying it. Every episode I always say it's like my go-to word. It's like really, really refreshing. I was want to know, is there any like kind of comic related goal that you want to achieve in the near future? You said that you had a few projects in the pipeline. Are they possibly a near future goal that you want to kind of get?
Yes. Circles, which is my body snatchers. Let's just call it body snatchers. It's the easiest way to think. I'm actually not sure what's going on there, so we'll get there, I suppose. Like when I find out, other people will know. So I feel like that's a little bit in the making still. Hopefully I'll have at least, I'm going to go for 20 pages of good script that has an endpoint before I get anything drawn up, just to know that we're not going to leave readers hanging. This will be a webcomic as well. All Millyera you can read for free. It's online now. Don't have to pay for it. I think that my other little comic that I've got on hold, I actually envision it as part of a anthology. I don't know where I would start, so that's why I'm kind of just holding it for a bit until I decide what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dreamed that we'd have an anthology about being abducted by aliens, sort of voluntarily. Yeah, I mean, things get it's a bit cynical, but things get a little bit sometimes, and you sometimes think to yourself like, take me, please. That's the point of my comic. So I was thinking, I want to leave would be instead of I want to believe, an X-Files, beam me up, please sort of concept. So sense of humor, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You've got so many like really cool genres to play with there. I think that's really cool. So obviously, would finishing Millyera be one of those goals as well?
Yes. So Millyera we have had Yana's run, we'll call it. And then now we're on Camilla's run. Her excellent artwork is what we're currently publishing. Then I'm not sure yet, but we might do a third to bring it up to the end of the story. So it's a little while away still because it's really quite long. Got a bit carried away.
But at least it keeps you busy, you know.
Yeah, that's right. So
sometimes. I guess also it's a bit of a loaded question, but I always like to ask this question to all the guests that come onto our show, and that is, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, comic related?
Okay. Again, 5 years can pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I would like to have one of my projects happening. If nothing else, then a mini comic. I will absolutely have a volume of Heart of Millyera, which will I have no doubt it will probably be crowdfunded.
Cool.
Given that it'll be a pretty chunky book for a self-published comic. But it'll be really great. That would just be really heartwarming for me to see all of Jana's artwork all in one volume.
Yeah, definitely.
And then also do that with Camilla's as well. So I'm sure we'll absolutely be doing those things within 5 years' time.
That sounds like a very, very busy 5 years ahead, that's for sure. I kind of want to shift gears now into a really fun section of the show, I guess. And these questions are kind of like rapid fire and really, really fun. Also, if anybody watching tonight has any questions, please send them through. Any questions you have about the Heart of Millyera or anything about Jess Cate's work, please send them through. But to crack on to the really fun questions, the first one that I have off the cuff is, if you could inherit any trait from any of your characters in Heart of Millyera, what would it be and why?
Oh, to have a scientific brain, to be able, yeah, absolutely. All of my characters are scientists because I only wish.
You either have
mathematics.
Scientific, you have like the really scientific hemisphere of the brain, or you have the really creative side of your brain, I guess. I guess it would be kind of nice to harness both sometimes.
True. Yeah.
Well, in mind you, not to spoil anything, but I think the character Millie is really interesting. Some of her capabilities are pretty cool. So yeah, she's from outer space as well. So out of space sea spirit. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. In the prologue that I read, it was just like, oh my god, she can do so many things already.
She can do pretty much. Yeah, you name it, she can do it, and she can change. She can shapeshift into anything. Mostly anything. I haven't tested that yet. I think organic things.
Organic things,
yeah. To see like how many different forms that she can take on. I think that would have been really cool for your illustrators to bring to life. I think that's for sure.
I hope so. Yeah. I think it's when we were thinking up the concept, I think we did go, well, what do we want in this story? What fun things do we want? So we're like, can we have dragons? Yeah, of course we can have dragons. She can shapeshift. She can be whatever.
No, that's awesome. I think that's a super, super strong character design right there. I guess the next question that I really want to know is, which one of the characters is most like yourself? Which one did you write that kind of embodies a little bit of your personality, so to speak?
Good question. I guess they're all a little. No, Gil definitely isn't me. He's a bit a goofy, lovable. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe a little bit of all of them. I'm pretty goofy, but I think Celeste is probably me. Realistically,
why is that?
She's just. I think she's a low-key poisoner. She's a bit. She has a lot of. She knows how to do a lot of things, but she's a little bit. I guess a little bit dopey and unsure of herself. She comes into her own when she realizes that she's not. She's not just playing catch up to the others. I think she thinks that she doesn't have anything to offer, and the others are way ahead of her with all of their skill sets. But yeah.
A little bit aloof maybe at times, or
she's just I think that she's just down to business, which is not a bad characteristic to have. I think just being focused on the task at hand and not realizing that sometimes things are just going way over your head, which is really me.
I think the best people are kind of like that anyway. So
yeah, true. All friendship
really,
circles have a little bit of
That's it. You've got to like kind of close the circle with those kind of characters. I think that's definitely
Exactly.
it. No, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. I really like asking that question to all of our guests because it kind of gives like a different level of like how they created their characters and what they kind of drew upon personality-wise in themselves to make these characters. Because I know I certainly do that for my own storytelling. So I think it's a really, really important tool, especially if you want to create like a really authentic kind of character. Which character would you most likely become friends with from Millyera?
Yeah, I would just, Millyera is, why wouldn't you want to have her as a friend? Yep. There's a couple of thugs, Quinn and Juro, who they're not as thuggish as you think, like, without giving anything away. I think that they would be good friends. Henchmen are always good to have on your side. I think having your own henchmen, I don't know how these people get these tough guys to follow them around. But
I think that's a very well-rounded friend group you've got there, that's for sure. I think with you.
Shape-shifting sea spirit from outer space and some henchmen.
So which character did you enjoy writing the most?
Oh, I think Celeste. Yeah. And it kind of shows as well. Everybody always tells me that they love her best, so that they think that she's the cutest. So I'm like, I must have injected a little bit of myself into her because she's got a lot of personality for the third wheel.
Yeah, interesting. So which character would you say took the longest to write?
Oh, I think Ida.
Okay, why is that?
She's quite serious. So I think when you're the person that has to do all the problem solving and be the driving factor behind every decision that everybody else has to just follow you along, it's hard to make that character fun. and yeah, she's a bit square, I suppose, but she's the driving force behind everything that happens. So you've got to try to work on her to make her likable and lovable and interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So besides Celeste having some characteristics from yourself, are there any other characters that were inspired by real people or people that you're surrounded by?
Not really, no. I think that they're there, they're not really based on anybody in particular. Yeah.
So you kind of wanted to embody your own character, your own original character for the story, essentially. I think
they're all, I think they work together, so I feel like they've all got their own aspects of their personality, which on their own they'd probably be hopeless, but as a trio they can work, they can do things and achieve things.
Definitely. Yeah, I think you should really give yourself a big pat on the back for creating such original characters. It's definitely no easy feat, that's for sure. I know for myself, I sometimes really have to rely on thinking of people around me. I'm not sure if any other artists or anyone else watching tonight kind of does the same thing, being inspired by other people around you or whatnot. But I think I definitely look up to people who can kind of just like pull a character out from their own head. I think that's really, really cool. So kudos to you. That's definitely no easy feat, that's for sure. And to create such credible and strong characters where they can really like stand alone. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that's really, I think you've done a really, really wonderful job, that's for sure. That's the end of my really fun rapid questions. These next few questions that I'm going to ask you pass with flying colours. The next few questions kind of delve into your process and how you created Millyera. I think these ones, a lot of viewers that watch that may have their own published works or are publishing their own works, I think might get a lot of value out of these next few questions. I know I certainly do. And just to kick things off, can you walk us through how you created Millyera, you know, what kind of process you went through, whether or not you did a Kickstarter or not. Can you kind of like give us like step by step a guide through how you did it?
Yeah. So originally we okay, let's go back. So Yana and I were part of a group of comic loving individuals in South Australia. So we used to get together and chat about comics, and we were just talking and decided that we really wanted to make a comic of our own. And then I think the more we spoke about it, we're like, it could be this and it could be that. So it was a lot of brainstorming, but also just, we love this stuff. Yeah, let's do it. Working in all of the different things that we'd ever thought that we wanted to have in a comic. So it became a little bit like a epic because of that. I think including everything that you like in one story is a lot, maybe.
Yeah.
But from there we went through, and I just researched so much, and so did Yana. So we just, for the art, she looked at so many different sort of open source old photographs, and just anything that you could find in the National Library, old pictures of locations and clothing, and especially Australian centric stuff. And I did a lot of research into sort of what I wanted the characters to be like, and how I wanted them to look, and put together a little scrapbook, a little digital scrapbook. So we used some online process management software to just sort of flick each other back and forwards. Oh, how about this? How about that? How about this? And then, slowly we came together with the characters and what they looked like. And then from there, I wrote out a script. So it was quite a while. It took me, I want to say 2 years. I don't know if that was longer than how long it took now. Thinking back, I'm like, it feels like longer than that, but yeah, I'm not sure. So it was a while ago. Wrote down the whole script, and then from there, basically Yana would work on it page at a time, a page of script at a time, and send it to me, and then I'll double check and go, oh yeah, oops, I accidentally have 10 spelling mistakes on this page, and that's terrible, that bit of script, so please change that to this. So I've gotten better now I don't do that as much. I've learned to edit myself before I give it to an artist and say, here, draw this.
Yeah, definitely. So what was the process after that? Obviously towards publishing it and getting it out there. Mm-hmm. What avenues did you explore in that field?
Well, I think from the get-go we were thinking we just wanted to do it. Well, I think we both had different ideas of what we wanted to do. So I wanted to always do a webcomic. That's how I saw it, and that's how I still see it. So I love that it's up there for people to read, and the idea that anybody could just jump on and be reading it at any point makes me so happy. And I love it when I get replies to the newsletter or comments keeping up. I've got a few people that email me quite regularly every time we have a page and go, yay, there's a new page. Oh, what's going to happen? So shout out to those people, you know who you are. Then we decided to do a print of the comic so that we could go to cons. Basically, we wanted to go and do a few of the various cons and get ourselves out there and part of the community, and just be more involved, and also get the comic into stores as well. So we decided to do Prelude, which is basically the first 18 pages of comic. So we kickstarted that, which was really good, and it was super successful. So I couldn't even believe how well we funded that. It was about, I think, 400% of what we asked for. So we were able to do so much. We could do extra bonuses for people, bookmarks and posters, and print extra copies, and it was great. So
amazing.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that stopped me doing another Kickstarter for more, so that we have little single issues, is that I prefer personally to have a big chunky book.
Yes.
I think kickstarting numerous little 20 pages, I'd rather save them up and do one volume.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. That's really, really interesting to hear your process, especially as a writer. I think it's really, really refreshing to have on the show. I kind of want to move on to some really meaty questions. And that is, what was the most challenging thing about creating Millyera?
I think when you're part of a team, a creative team, it's a lot of, there can be a lot of back and forth, and sometimes what you have in your mind for, oh, sorry, I'm going to sneeze.
Oh, no.
The air conditioner's blowing right on me. Sometimes my vision for what I had doesn't exactly come across. We did pretty good. I don't have any complaints. But sometimes it's a little bit of tweaking involved, and it's, I think, a little bit frustrating for the writer to be like, no, that's not, my brain shows me it's a movie. Don't you see what's in my head? But no, it's not like that. No. So yeah, I think sometimes it's not possible to do what I want to do. What I put down on the pages in the script is, you can't do that. There's no way that we can fit that in a page. That's 5 pages, Jess. So you've just extended your comic by, Yeah. Yeah. So I think realistic.
Yeah. So like working within teams and whatnot. Yeah, I can definitely see how that is a big challenge in itself. Someone who's worked on a comic solely by themselves, I definitely have a lot of admiration for people who work within teams. It's definitely, again, no easy feat. So yeah, kudos to you for doing it. That's for sure. And having 2 illustrators as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun to see their different art styles. I actually love that they're so different.
Yeah, definitely.
When I saw how different they were going to be, I was like, this is amazing. I couldn't have asked for it being any better for them, because you get a different take on the character.
Exactly, yeah.
They're still the character, but they've suddenly got more like emphasize different features, and I just love that.
Kind of seeing them through 2 different lenses, I guess, or 2 different perspectives. I think that's really interesting, and something that I don't think I've actually heard much of. I mean, besides, your original or your like traditional comic books that have, the covers done from guest artists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's really cool. That's for sure. I guess kind of moving on, I really want to know, what was the most rewarding part of creating your comic book?
Oh, I think going to cons and getting it out there and meeting people in the community, I think was fantastic. When back in, I can check the date. I'm actually going to check the date. Okay, anywhere between 2016 and 2018, we did a mentorship with like a comics creator mentorship. The Banksia project through Supernova. That was really good. It was really good because we got to meet a whole bunch of fellow creators, and we got to work through some little projects. It was great to have the motivation to work. Everybody was going to get on Zoom, and we're all going to talk about what we did. So we actually developed a comic called Great Beasts, which is a once-off little one-shot cute comic. That's so different to Heart of Millyera. And we worked on a little foldy mini sort of fold out comic called Space and Time, which was really fun as well. Again, it was so different and gave me a chance to write something sort of autobiographical and put myself into it rather than just fantasies. So I think that was a real high point, and doing panels and things around that. One of the panels that I got to be on was about diversity specifically. So, I mean, I could talk about that all day. Diversity in comics and just in pop culture in general. It's important to me. So yeah, I think doing those sort of things, cons, panels, discussions, things like this, are really rewarding and fun. And
yeah,
That's
kind
awesome.
of like meeting your readers, essentially. I think, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I think when I first went to my own, I went to Supernova, I think, the first time, and that's when it all kind of clicked in, and I was like, oh, this is what I really love. And then obviously I met you in 2019 at a convention, the Paper Cuts Festival here in Adelaide. Shout out to Paper Cuts. And no, I definitely agree. I think it's a super rewarding part of creating comics and knowing that it's being really well received and even getting some feedback. I know that's what happened with my first experience at a convention. It was really, really rewarding to get that kind of feedback and then go on and actually use it. So
I absolutely agree. Yeah, getting to hear from people to come back as well. People that would come back to the stall and say, "Oh, when's the next one coming out?" Yeah, I saw you last year. Where's I think it also lights a fire under you to be like, oh, people actually want to read this. There's people out there waiting.
Yeah, kind of create a little bit of a level of accountability. Like, oh no, now I've got these readers. I've definitely got to like bring something to the table.
Yep.
On a personal level, but no, it's really, really good. And it's nice to know that people, are following you and kind of got your back. Exactly. I think that's really fair call to say that's one of the biggest rewarding things of making comics. That's for sure. So obviously, Millyera is online and it is currently still in development. I kind of want to know, link, have a peek with my friends. I kind of want to know, how long did it take for you to publish the physical copy exactly?
It was within a year. It wasn't, once we got down to getting going with it, it's all very exciting as well doing Kickstarter. You get very motivated to just, obviously you're accountable again to the people that backed you, number one. You don't want to leave people waiting, but having a plan ahead of time of how we're going to actually manufacture this thing. And I think it all falls into place a lot quicker if you go into it before doing something like that that's time sensitive.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I need that. I need that deadline to motivate me.
Yeah. Oh my God. Me too. This next question, I think, it kind of comes out of like left field. It kind of catches a few guests off guard, I think. But it's something that I think is like sometimes a little bit important. However, I want to know, are there any Easter eggs or little fun facts that not many people know about or not many people realize when they first pick up or read Millyera?
Yes. I think that about midway through page 19 and 20, there's online, you have to see it online, it's a bit different, but there's a big long page and there's a little bit of a prehistoric flashback to Millyera crashing down. So if she's not from here, she's from outer space. So I think that often people go, what why are we in space now? So yeah, it's just one of those things that I thought was, why not? Hey, she's from under the water, but she's also from outer space, and she's very, very old, older than we can think, that we could even imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Were there any other like inspirations behind the name or the story, or obviously it kind of piqued my interest being kind of related to the Chain of Ponds Road, the town that was underwater.
I love that you figured it out. It's
it is. Okay, yeah. Fantastic. I'm glad that we cleared that up. That's for sure. I think that's a really, really cool little Easter egg. Especially if you're like at conventions here in Adelaide. I think that's a really cool little dot point. But yeah, especially for someone who kind of like drives that road. I'm definitely going to think of you now every time I'm driving down there.
Yay! We'll keep an eye out for it. It's down there somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Waiting.
No, that's awesome. I really, really enjoy those kind of questions because I think, you know, as someone who's creating a book, there's these little tiny things that you might insert and be like, oh, if someone picks it up, they pick it up kind of thing. But I think it's really cool to like kind of shine a light on those things and maybe even pick more people to read the book itself just because of that fun fact. I guess we've also kind of touched on some of your conventions. Are there any conventions that you really want to attend in the future, or any conventions that you've like really, really enjoyed in the past?
All of the local conventions that we have done. I'm drawing a blank at the moment for some reason. The Canberra, what's it called? The Comic Arts Festival. I need to Google it. It was really good. Anyway, it was amazing. They hosted the Ledger Awards there, and it was just really fun, and really insightful. Great little workshops and panels, and yeah, that was amazing. I would love to go to some East Coast. Camilla, my artist, she was living in Brisbane, but she's no longer there now. But I was always planning to go up and do Brisbane Comic-Con or Supernova at the time. But yeah, I think I'll still go up there and maybe do the Wollongong. Yeah, all up the coast would be great, and up north.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. No, that's awesome.
We've got so many great independent festivals here now. So
yeah, and I think Adelaide's really good for that. I think personally, I really enjoy the smaller kind of conventions. I think they're kind of on a more intimate level with all your readers and followers. I think compared to the big ones where you kind of maybe sometimes get a bit drowned out or whatever. But I think the smaller ones, you know, they really amplify indie creators. So
exactly. Yeah.
So you have sold Millyera at some conventions, and we have peeped the website. Is there anywhere else that people can find the Heart of Millyera?
At the moment, the website's the best place. You can, if you would like to buy a download, you can head to Owner Indie, where we can actually purchase a PDF. At the moment, I won't be selling physical copies for the time being anyway. So it's possible that I might refresh that down the track.
Yeah, nice. Well, now that people know that, we have reached the third quarter mark. These are a bit of the conclusion questions to kind of wrap up the show. I think for me, these are some of the most important questions that I ask because they really kind of delve into the comic industry as such. And I think they're a really, you know, kind of well-rounded list of questions. So in your comic career, which achievement are you most proud of and why?
I think just getting Heart of Millyera up online, that in itself is an achievement for me. Having a physical comic is great, but I love that it's up there for people to read and anywhere in the world to get their hands on. Yeah,
definitely. To kind of like touch base and like, you know, really get your message across essentially. Especially as indie creators, I think that's, definitely, that's fair to say. That's for sure. For all of our watchers watching tonight, some people who may have already created their own comic or are about to create their own comic, what is your best tip for them?
Be kind to yourself with the process. Honestly, there's a million reasons why you might not feel like writing today, or life gets in the way. And I think same with artists. I believe you do this because you want to do it, because it's fun and it makes you happy. So if it's not making you happy, if it's stressful, just be kind to yourself. It'll come together.
Yeah, nice. I think that's a really, really nice tip to give. Were there any like major lessons that you learned while you were writing The Heart of Millyera?
I think shooting for the stars, really coming up with such a big concept. And also, yeah, just really expecting everything to be in this book from the get-go as such a big project for me to do as my first big attempt. So, but that's fine.
Yeah,
that's
so you kind of like
in itself. I've done it now, so I feel like I can. Smaller projects are great, though. I think that's another tip is even if you're working on something huge, if you'd like to do sort of little bits and pieces, on the side, just take a moment, take some time out and do a small project, finish something small so you can have that sense of achievement and feel that euphoria that comes with getting a small job done.
Definitely. I think that's a really great piece of advice. And I think it really kind of goes to show that you really went above and beyond for Heart of Millyera, and you still continue to do so. So I think, go hard or go home. And I think you've done that really, really well. So kudos to you. Are there any other skills or techniques that you kind of learned along the way, or that you may perhaps want to learn in the future? Are there anything that you kind of want to delve into?
Yeah, I think that I find a little bit of the dealing with all of the intricacies, the ins and outs of actually getting the physical prints done and the logistics. It takes a little bit of, you have to fortify yourself to do that stuff. It's not the fun things. Picking out the paper stock and some people love that. I don't particularly. I just want it to be good and I want it now as well. So I think a lot of that stuff comes with practice.
Definitely. I guess it's fair to also say, sometimes the devil is in the detail, and it really does come down to those small nitty gritty things. Create a comic, that's great, and then you realize, oh my god, there's all these really detailed things that you've really got to kind of consider first or later down the track that kind of catch up to you.
Luckily we've got a good support network of comic creators, especially in SA, but just across Australia. Once you're in with a few people who know what they're doing, you have people to ask advice from and who will gladly give you their advice, and you can also help. And I just think that that's really great. It's invaluable because nobody knows everything. Everybody needs to ask a question from time to time.
That's definitely so true, especially going back to how we first kind of like crossed paths. Just for everyone watching, I first met Jess at 2019 Paper Cuts Festival, and at that festival I had my parents along with me. I was very new to the scene, and my parents pointed out your stall as a grand example of how I should present No Man's Land and all my other stuff. So I think, it's really definitely valuable to kind of like turn and look around in the community that you have for inspiration and even some advice, really, which is why I ask these questions at the end of the show. So I think that's a very good point, definitely. To kind of push on and really, wrap up the tail end of the show, I want to know, what is your favorite thing about the Australian indie comic community / industry?
The community, the community and the support, and the openness, and people willing to embrace. We've got so many great creators out there doing amazing things, and so diverse and so many different genres. It's just fantastic. And I think it's great to be able to connect with people, not just to have this be some big undertaking that other people are doing in other countries very professionally, and it's so out of reach, because as you know, it's not out of reach. You can do it and you can be part of it, and we're so lucky in that regard.
Definitely. I think it's really nice that you touched on diversity really in the community, especially when you briefly touched on some of your future projects. I think you talked about having one that kind of touched on the LGB community. Was that correct? Or yeah, and I think that was really fantastic to hear that there are some pipeline projects in the works surrounding that kind of community, and again, having it's really wonderful that Shane and I brought you on this show. I think it's really lovely to have female presenting kind of people on the show as well in the community doing really wonderful things. But yeah, I also really want to know, what do you hope to see in the Aussie comic community, or see more of, I guess?
Yeah, I think more of our little local festivals and elsewhere would be amazing. I think that it's great for just the local communities that they're in as well, to have similar to what we've got and what Perth has, just to have that place where they can go and be like, oh, I love this, young people especially, to see the creators and to hear from local people that are doing these things, and clubs that they can become part of, drawing groups, that sort of stuff. I think that those things are amazing. That's how I started doing Heart of Millyera, and I would say that any of that sort of community is, it's daunting for a lot of people. I know that, I find it hard to go to lots of events. Anxiety and other things sometimes become a little bit overwhelming to get out there. But if you have that as an option, at least you know that you can get on there and do the things that you want to do. It's not insurmountable.
Definitely. I think that's really, really wonderful, and I really like that answer as well. Like having smaller events and focusing more on like smaller communities wherever you may be watching the show. I think that's really, really nice to hear. But yeah, again, I just really want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It's really wonderful having a creator like yourself, someone who I have admired for so many years. I really want to know, well, I guess I really want you to kind of shout out a little bit more to the viewers at home where we can find Millyera, just to round out the show.
Yeah, well, please head to heartofmillyera.com. Spelling is here because I know that it is hard to say and spell. So you can bookmark it. Sign up for the mailing list too, and I'll send you a heads up to when we've got a new page, which is getting better. I promise. There'll be a new page. There was a new one up today, and I'll do another new page in 2 weeks, and hopefully fortnightly from there.
Amazing. Well, that kind of concludes the show for tonight. Again, we have got 4 shows during the week. We have got the Chinwag with Lee Chalker on the Tuesday Chinswags. We've got this show, who I also co-host with Morgan Quaid, fortnightly, and then we've also got the Friday Drink and Draws, which is super fun, and we've also got the Sunday Spotlights as well. So be sure to check out the upcoming shows this week. But with all that, I think that's pretty much all from me, unless you've got anything else to add, Shane.
I was going to say like and subscribe is always an important one. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a lot. Thank you very much. So you won't miss all the future shows like the ones that were just mentioned. And also, we've got some comments coming in.
Last minute comments. Lovely.
They're the thank yous.
Oh, thank you so much for watching, guys. Amazing. I just want to say thank you again for being on the show, Jess.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. No, thank you very much. Was there anything else, Shane? Or is that?
Well, I was just going to say, as a credit to you, Jess, when I was reading Heart of Millyera, I got so involved in the story. I was about 5 pages into the second story before I realized the art had changed. I was just so involved, and then I've sort of gone, hang on, the art's different. What's going on? And then I look down at the bottom. Oh, it's a new name. Oh, okay.
Yay! I'm glad.
So yes, it was a lot of fun. I just wanted to go out on that. But
if that's not a testimonial to your work, Jess, I don't know what is. So there you go, guys. You should definitely check it out.
Yep.
Go check it out. It's a great book. Thank you very much, Jess. Thank you very much, Sheydin. And good night to all.
Thank you so much, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Check out comex.cx for all things comics and find out what comics is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.